Hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gavin. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to be on headphones today because we are continuing. Hold on, man. I did something that was an amateur move. I had the video on another tab and it started playing. Sorry about that. Okay, we are going to continue our coverage of the case of little Maddie Soto. Madeline Soto was murdered sometime after about 11:40 p.m. on February 25th or February 26th of this year. She was 13 years old. The man that is accused of being her killer is this guy. His name is Stephen Stearns, and he is Maddie's mom's boyfriend, on again, off again. I think most of us know this case. When we last left each other, we had listened to about a third of the interview that Kissimmee police did with these folks. This image is about from 2015, so it's kind of old, but these are the parents of Stephen Stearns. It's Chris and Deb Stearns. I had planned on doing a full, like 2-hour video, but I just had to take a break. I couldn't do it. I could not finish it. And so I'm planning on listening to the rest of this interview over today and tomorrow. And I know that a lot of other channels have already listened to this and have already live streamed it or made videos about it. This is my first time listening through to it. A couple of questions that have come in over on the Fish Tank. If you guys aren't on the Fish Tank, it is a Facebook group where we all hang out and talk about the cases that I cover here on the channel and others. But one of the questions that seems to be coming up on the Fish Tank is, Gavin, are you going to be doing coverage of the interview that Jen Soto, where's Jen? There's Jen, did with police? And the answer, actually, she did it with the state's attorney's office investigators. The answer to that is yes, but I'm not in a rush to do it. It's going to be this week for sure, but just stick with me on this, and we're gonna go through it slowly and methodically. Now, if you're familiar with my website, gavinfish.com, I'm just going to do a quick plug real quick since it's on here. Crime Cod is my almost daily true crime newsletter. If you guys want to subscribe, feel free to do that. But if you go over to the website, click on cases and go over to Madeline Soto's case, you will see that all of the audio files, including the April 18th interview of Jennifer Soto, is there. All of the case files. We've got a whole bunch of crime scene photos, just tons and tons and tons of stuff. So head on over to the website. You can listen to everything there. If you're a patron of mine, you can listen to everything. You do not need to be a patron to look at all the photos. Okay, so I'm going to get to that. Definitely going to get to the interview with Jen Soto. That'll be this week. And just a little housekeeping here, guys. I am headed to CrimeCon UK next week. So bring you over here. So CrimeCon UK is the 21st and 22nd of September, which is not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. But I'm going to be spending a little extra time in Europe with one of our children is going with me. So I'm going to be gone from about the 17th through the 24th. So I'm trying to get a bunch of this stuff in. If you are going to CrimeCon UK in London, please use Fish. When you buy your tickets, you'll save yourself about 10%. Okay? All right. With that, where were we on the interview? We're about 32 minutes in. The Mr. Stearns, Chris Stearns, is telling the Kissimmee police investigators what Stephen, their son, told them. So we are going to have a little listen starting there. And I think when we stopped, it was when he said that Stephen said, hey, this is a high-risk area. This is a place where children are kidnapped. This is a place where they are trafficked and so forth. So that's where I couldn't take it anymore last time. I think that was on Friday. I needed a break. So, I I stopped. But that's where we are going to get started here. And I think I've got a little issue with my camera. Let me just reset this here real quick, make sure that it gets, there we go. Yeah, BJM goes, hey, Gavin, did you leave your glasses in your wife's car again? Yeah, I cannot find my glasses, guys. I can't find my glasses. And honestly, it's time for a new pair anyway. But yeah, it is time. I may have left them at Josh and Sandy Greenberg's house or something. The last time I had them is when I was on that trip. Okay, let's go ahead and hop in. We'll bring up their picture for now. Remember that if you want to get my attention in the live stream, obviously I always see super chats and super stickers and stuff like that. But if you really want to get my attention, just put GF. That's a little filter that I use on my end to be able to see the stuff that you guys want me to read. Okay, so use that. With that, we're going to hop back in with Chris Stearns talking about, I backed it up a few seconds. Chris Stearns talking about what Stefan Stearns told them about the day that he supposedly dropped off Maddie at school. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear this okay.
And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. Like, we went to pick her up and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking. And
yeah, this whole thing makes no sense to me, but you know, it sounds like he was trying to weave a story that his parents might believe. Of course, we have learned that they didn't believe a lot that that Stefan said, and I'm not excusing them, guys. You guys, I'm sorry, I've got off on the wrong foot. We just started, and here I am commenting again. I honestly think that there's a little bit of a making of a murderer here, a little making of a monster here. Of course, Monday morning quarterbacking is really easy to do, and this is only my opinion. I'm a lay person. I have no ability to diagnose issues, but it does seem to me that Deb Stearns particularly is a little over defensive of her 37-year-old son. Like, she has protected him way too much over his life. And I think this might be a little bit of a making of a monster here. So, sorry, I'll try to keep my interruptions to a minimum.
That there's a good chance that she's been abducted. Mm-hmm. You know, the typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this.
Mm-hmm. He was holding himself responsible.
Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. Mm-hmm. And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation, the whole deal. And so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news, and then that was it until Tuesday, and then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday. Maybe it was the afternoon, and again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then the police were now more involved, and there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
Hey, let's remember that this interview was conducted on March 6th. Maddie's body was found on March 1st. So, you know, they know what has occurred with Maddie at this point. They have talked with Stefan. He's already been arraigned at this point. They likely have been chatting with him by email. And if you look at the documents on my website, you'll probably see those. So, you know, this is like, they already know what happened. They already know that Maddie is dead, that their son is charged in her murder.
backtracking to Monday. So you talked to him. You said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did the call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all of that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jen had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And never said anything about it.
So, guys, I don't know how you're feeling about this, but when Chris speaks, I'm getting the sense that he's telling the truth. When Jen speaks, I feel like she's not lying, but she's spinning is kind of what it feels like to me. She's spinning things. But when he told us that he dropped her off far away, she's going through a phase. Jen told me that she was going through a phase, and I don't know that that's really true. I feel spun. I feel like she's a spin doctor and she's trying to manipulate the situation. That's just me.
Being a high traffic area or anything like that, she just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, hanging out. And so we just watch. And then Stephen said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. She said it several times. And so
Again, this is to me an indication that Deb is coming to the defense of her son. I don't know if she just doesn't believe at this point that he could have done this, like her little baby boy couldn't do this. He plays Warhammer and Tamagotchi and stuff like that. He couldn't possibly do this. Maybe she's still there, but it does feel like she's like, no, Jen too. Yeah, Chris maybe, but Stefan maybe, but Jen too. And Jen said, and Jen did. And I'm not defending Jen, by the way. Not defending Jen. Because I think that she should be charged in this. But here we go.
I don't know if... Do you want any conjecture or no? The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size. Mm-hmm. That she wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen we saw sitting at the church in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so there is video from a church nearby the school. You guys have probably seen this, that appears to show Madeline like walking and sitting on like a bench in the church parking lot. Of course, nobody's been able to identify specifically that is Maddie. And it seems like what Deb is doing here is just kind of throwing Jen into this. No, kind of like she's trying to, it seems like she's trying to say that if Stefan was doing this, then Jen was doing it too. Like she was involved. She was a conspirator or something.
Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time. Mm-hmm. So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit. Mm-hmm. And she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's a sobbing, wet mess.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection. Gotcha. And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed?
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat, monotone in a way. Mm-hmm. Nothing upbeat about it. And then, matter of factly, I had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then.
Did he plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys confirm that plan? Or?
I told him to. I said, he's driving on a donut. And we both confirmed that, the donut wouldn't last long and that, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day because that's not Stefan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54. Mm-hmm. And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And, as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing, and I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Okay, so I understand that Chris Stearns worked for like a sheriff's office at one point in his past. I know he's a real estate agent now, or a real estate broker. But he is speaking the way an investigator speaks, and it appears that he's thinking the way an investigator thinks, right? Wait a minute, that's suspicious that two out of the ordinary things happened on the same day. That doesn't make sense. And he even uses the words, so he's telling us this story of the this, the that, the abduction, the other thing. His suspicions are up, and that's why I keep coming back to this whole thing where I'm like, I think Chris is probably telling us the truth here. And I think that Deb's, like, her mission here is, if my little boy is going down, then Jen's going down with him. Now, I think Jen should go down with him, but you guys get what I'm saying? I think that's kind of what's happening in this interview here.
Did you question him about it or no?
No, I didn't think about it. When the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, more close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day, is that
No,
correct?
I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that just to get updates, or
Yeah.
what's the conversation you're having?
Well,
with him
it was
during
me
that time?
he called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing me, letting me know what's going on. There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes, and both of those I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's called me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, do you have any reason not to? Mm-hmm. And he said, no. And I said, then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up.
Wow. That's interesting. That is interesting. Again, Chris has some background with law enforcement. I don't know how extensive it is, but he has some background with law enforcement. And he advised that Stefan turn his phone over to the police. That's bad advice. Like, I'm glad he did it. I'm not complaining. It's just bad advice. And maybe at the time, like, Chris was just thinking, no, Stefan wouldn't have had any part of this. I don't know though. His cockles were up, right? He was skeptical about some of the things that Stefan had said. Maybe Chris was on the other side going, oh, there's definitely evidence there, and this kid needs to be in jail. Maybe that's what was happening. Maybe Chris has come to the conclusion that, okay, this monster is created. Frankenstein is loose upon the public, or Frankenstein's monster is loose upon the public, and he needs to be stopped. Maybe that's where he was. So he's like, yeah, give him the phone. That's really interesting. I love it when stupid criminals do stupid things. The rest of us who are not criminals, we should never do those kinds of things. We should always avail ourselves of the rights that we're given here in the United States. Here we go. And Mooney, I saw your comment. Yeah, I will move around the pictures a little bit, though I will be showing Deb and Chris a little more.
What really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest, I said, well, you had your phone. You can document where you've been. Mm-hmm. Well, I left my phone at home. Okay. Let's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track him. So I said, well,
The vape store.
well, I understand that, but I'm not sure, where a camera would have been. But, thinking he was innocent, trying to help, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding, there was a 2 hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off
Stop.
and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jen at 10:17. And in fact, my understanding why he called Jen at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in.
I think that sentence where he said, at the time thinking that he was innocent, is a implication, right? He is inferring, and it's not lost on any of us, that he believes that his son is guilty at the time, by March 6th, at the time of this interview. So I maybe Chris and Deb are on the same page here. And the only difference that they're kind of experiencing is that Chris wants Frankenstein's monster to be put away for the public safety, and Deb wants Jen to go with him. Maybe that's what it is. Now let's see. Lisa Lefave says Chris is putting hundreds of dollars a month for Stefan to have commissary. Yeah, it's kind of an odd phenomenon, and you guys know that I've a very close friend of our family just in the last year or two, let's just say in the last couple of years, was convicted of horrible crimes and was sentenced to what ended up being life in prison for him in San Quentin back in California. Anyway, my dad, knowing that he had done horrible things, but also remembering that he was his friend, took care of him in that way. And so, what would I do if my son was in jail and I believed him guilty? Because that's what's happening here. That's what appears to be happening here, is that Chris believes him guilty, but might as well still give him some money in the commissary. Yeah, that's interesting stuff. Crazy stuff.
Didn't have his clicker.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been. But when he told me that he was doing a OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. But there's always that one off. It could be, but when he starts saying, I accidentally pressed a button to reset it, then I knew it was bullshit. That's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, yes, go ahead and do it, and you leave it alone, and it updates and it'll let you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. None of this other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for it?
I pay for it.
Did you want this
Of course he pays.
Yeah, would you
for
put
it.
some cream in it, blonde like you, and duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds?
Wow, it's very specific.
How did you get to Kissimmee? Like, what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so I got a call. I got a call at 9:30, and then I think that's when that discussion took place about whether to give this phone to the police or not. I said, you haven't got any issue with it, give him the phone. Give him the phone. And then I got a call, and then I went to bed. I was 10-ish something. I'm all tucked into bed. I got the boys with me, and I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent, and then I woke up because the phone was vibrating, and then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42, and then I made an out call at 10:43, and then the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both did because they were on speaker.
Okay.
And Stefan said, "Hey, you need to come up here." And I said, "Okay." I said, so we discussed, they were being kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay. So I said, well, we need to figure out where to go for, where to stay and what have you. And so I'm jumping in the shower, packing a bag, talking to Deb, making plans to leave. And which I did it just after midnight. I tried to make a call to them at 11:56. It went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife, because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. That's why I think a drink.
No, okay, thank you.
It wasn't working, and it's been it's electronic, and its batteries in there since the day we moved here, so 4 years old. So when I tried to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door, and the only way to do that if you had a clicker in your remote in your visor, but you weren't going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18, lasted for 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation?
So I know that we've gone over this before, but he full on called BS on his son. So he knows that his son is guilty at this point. There's just too much stuff stacking up. So it makes me wonder what he's trying to do in terms of helping his son here. Is he trying to help to get him to, confess or whatever at this point? Or is it, maybe out of love for Jen having lost her daughter at this point? I don't know why he's doing this. Maybe it's just 37 years of being trained that he has to take care of his little boy. Maybe it's that. I don't know. But he obviously does not believe that Stefan is innocent at this point. He actually said, "I'm calling BS on this whole thing." But it makes me wonder what makes him, and by him I mean Chris, behave the way he does to go bail out Stefan again. What makes him do that? And for that matter, I mean, I know that we just talked about the commissary, but for that matter, what is it that makes him take care of his son in jail? And there is this comment here from Judith that said he may need extra to make friends and stay in one piece. I don't know what kind of jail he's in, or if he's isolated in a way they treat it like he's away at camp. I believe he is isolated. He was on, in the beginning, they were afraid that he was going to harm himself. So he was isolated that way, in a medical isolation. But I think he says in the emails that he's not in general population. That would be extremely dangerous for him. And I don't think they would put him in Gen Pop.
Just confirmation of where they were and where we were staying, and the address of the hotel, because it was out off of west of Disney, off the 429.
And from what I understand, did you pay for the hotel, or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said a pet-friendly hotel. Pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night. Mm-hmm. Okay, so all right, so I paid for the dog to stay.
Okay, their dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually reimbursed her for it.
Mm-hmm. All right, and when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jen and Stefan, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we were just greeting, gave Stefan a hug, and, chit-chatted for a few minutes. I was busy checking in because they had already completed their check-in. Mm-hmm. They went up to their room. They were on the opposite end of me, but we were on the same floor. I went out to the car to, park my car, get my stuff, and bring it in and go to my room. And then I went to their room, spent about 10 minutes with them, no more than 15, and then I was heading back to my room to go to bed. What
were the conversations when you were in their room?
I don't really recall. It was just, everybody settled in, everybody okay. We'll just meet in the morning and see what unfolds at that time. I'm sure there was going to be some more interviews or what have you. Mm-hmm. I planned to go to the office. Our corporate office is in Orlando, so I planned to go. Mm-hmm. So I was up 6:30, 7 or so. 6:30. Then I left the hotel around 7:30 to go to the office.
Okay. When you left to go to the office, was Steven and Jen still there?
As far as I know, I don't know. I come to find out later when I got a phone call from Jen around 10 o'clock, 9:48 or so, I think it was. 9:49, she called me. It lasted for about a minute to ask me if Stefan was with me. I go, no. Well, he's not here. How long has he been gone? Maybe 25 minutes. I said, okay, well, all right, maybe he's out running around, whatever.
I wonder if this is the time that he drove Jen's Nissan. I wonder if that's the time that happened. I'm not sure I'm not clear on the timeline.
So then I get a call from her about at 10:17. Don't recall what that conversation was about. Then there was another call, 10:47, and I think matter of fact, I'm trying to recall what time we talked about his not being there, and then I called back and said, I told her, I said, go down to the lobby. If he was gone for 25 minutes, go down to the lobby. Maybe he's down there. Seemed logical. And then after I hung up, I called her back and said, are your car keys there? And she said, no. I said, okay, interesting. So then I get a call back from her later saying that the detective had called and said they were going to come over within the hour to visit with them. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I left the office and drove over there and thinking, well, he's going to be in a world of hurt if he's not there when they come back because they'll probably put a bolo out on him. And then...
Yeah, so this is the time that he took Jen's car. Her keys were missing.
Just decided to arrest him because he's wandering around. What's he doing? So...
When you got back, was he there?
No, he didn't show up for another 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. And then do you know if Jen's car has a GPS in it? Nav system?
It does, yes.
Okay, well, that's part of his lie. So,
oh, wow.
He came back in and said, well, I got lost in the back roads of Disney, no GPS and what have you. And I didn't think about this till later. I thought, wait a minute, Jen's got a newer car. Most of them have a GPS system in it. Wow. So because he didn't have a phone, and obviously he didn't have hers, he was trying to wind his way back to the hotel, but couldn't because he didn't have a GPS when in fact he did have a GPS.
So Dad's calling him out on his lies to the police. I think my theory is correct here, that they know that they have raised Frankenstein's monster here, that he needs to be off the streets. He probably is guilty of what the police are saying he's guilty of. And yeah, the only issue that I'm having is when Deb talks, she is trying to lump Jen into the whole thing too. And now that is not a defense of Jen, because I think Jen was enabling Stefan's abusive behavior towards Maddie. I think she is the enabler there. So I'm not calling her innocent at all. I'm just saying, Chris is yes, let's get this guy off of the street. He's been lying to us his whole life. He's lying to me about this. I'm calling BS on his behavior. But then Deb's Jen was probably there too. It's that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, in the first third of the interview, I really didn't like either one of them, and I still think that they bear some responsibility for the monster that has been created here. But I am encouraged that Chris kind of started, working to make sure his son never sees the light of day outside of a prison.
Now, there was talks of that he may have came here that morning.
Well, so when I finally got in to see Alex Wednesday evening, he said, what exit do you get off at when you come back to Northport? Tested my exit numbers, and I said, I think it's 179, Toledo Blade. And he said, did you know that Stefan was in Northport at 7:45 that morning? I said, really? No, I didn't. Then I later learned it was really 6:30ish, which meant that, and I had my timeline all screwed up. I thought they departed their room at 3:30 when in fact it was more like 2:30. So I was thinking, gosh, I just went to bed, and then he turned around and got out of there and went down to Northport. But when I learned about that, I couldn't imagine why. And then Alex is telling me, well, we have information that he went to your storage unit. So that led us down a rat hole, and then I found out that was completely wrong. That access storage facility hadn't been accessed for 2 weeks, and that was me going to put the lock back on that I had incorrectly relocked my unit 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago. So that was wrong. The time of his entering Northport was wrong. It was really an hour earlier, hour and 15 minutes earlier, and he never went access the storage unit. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, he must have been really disappointed if he was coming to this house because he couldn't get in the front door, and that door was locked, and he knew that that if he came in, chances are he would put the dogs on high alert and set them off, which would have got her up. And I asked her, I said, what would you have done if Stefan was standing in the middle of the house and you weren't expecting him? It's like, what are you doing here? And God knows what would have taken place at that point and why he was here.
Dad? Why are you here? You know, I thought
why did I go to Orlando?
Who knows what would have happened if that took place? He's like actually worried about his wife's safety at that point. That's what it sounds like to me. You guys tell me in comments if I'm like if I'm wrong here, but that's what it sounds like. Like he thinks that his son is a killer and would have done harm to one of them had they walked in on him at the house. Wow. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Here we go.
Because I can tell you the amount of time I spent with him, aggregately, 3 occasions, was a total of 30, 35 minutes. It's the amount of time that I had.
Oh, CM Cakes. I had forgotten that he said that his parents were making end-of-life plans. That was his excuse for going. They're getting up there in age. I had forgotten that. Wow. No, these people don't seem like they're really within striking distance of end of life, do they? Well, that is a great comment.
With him. Because when he got back to that hotel room, the both of them went back to bed and they slept. And there was no waking the dead. And up until 2 o'clock, I'm trying to get him to eat something. Jen and I went down and had some lunch, but I have no idea why he was here, other than to get in the house to get something, maybe try to steal some money from me, maybe steal something of value, to sell it, what have you. I have no idea.
So when on Tuesday, when he got eventually made it back to the hotel, you're saying you and Jen went to go eat, but Stefan didn't want to go? Or?
No, you couldn't wake him up. He was out of it, dead to the world.
Okay. Now, I was told by Northport PD when they came and talked to, I'm assuming you, one night, that you may have mentioned the dogs barking sometime throughout the night.
They went on high alert and I looked at my watch because I was in here alone. 3:19 in the morning. I had all 5 of them sleeping with me since he wasn't here to sleep with the boys. They all went from dead asleep to springing up in the air and standing on all 4 feet, all of them looking at my window and giving the war bark. That's not a war bark. That's a wolf.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's a sound that will make your skin
wake to
goosebumps. And I didn't have the gun in my room.
Just to maybe, like, for those of you who don't know, apparently Deb and Chris are dog breeders. They're like poodle breeders is the way I understand it. So they had a litter of pups at the time, and well, they're still probably pretty young still, but they had a litter of pups at the time that she was taking care of through the night. And you learn a lot about this through the emails between Deb and Stefan while he's in jail. So when she's talking about the dogs went on high alert, like who has 5 dogs, right? I mean, I know there are people that have that many dogs, but you're sleeping with 5 dogs. They were really like puppies. She was caring for them through the night. And that's what she's talking about here.
I don't usually use it. I don't usually keep it in there. I had to come and look for a flashlight I let all the dogs out here. And then I did not unlock the security lock on the door. I just took the flashlight and went like this to see if there was a critter in the yard. We have bobcats, we have all kinds of stuff out here. So, didn't see anything in the yard. Didn't see anything out the front.
I think you're right, Jessica.
Went and looked through the office window. Didn't see anything out there. So, didn't see a car. I thought, okay, well, we must have had a critter, and I just missed it. You know, they dig holes and come under the fence and drive the dogs nuts. Rabbits especially, we had one last night.
And you're saying that your code to the storage facility was not used on that Tuesday?
No, the storage unit, Northport Police told me was, they misread it, but they said the last access, because I didn't think Stefan had my access code unless when we were there in December, he decided to memorize it. And I keep it in my contacts, because obviously I don't use it that often. I'm not going to commit to memory. But I was there 2 weeks ago because they called me up and said, hey, you know, we're doing an audit. We got an audit that's going to happen, and we check all the units, and you didn't lock your unit properly. So, you know, it's a slided over, bolted, and then it's got 2 holes. You drop your padlock in there and lock it. Well, apparently I locked it on the outside. I didn't think I did, but anyway, I must have. So I went over there the next day and properly locked it. So,
any reason why he would come here? Does he have any other friends or close people that he would?
well, I mean, he has a limited number of friends. I don't know. Maybe he was going to hook up with one of them. Frank being one of them. It's the one I know that he's
Played Warhammer.
is closely associated with, and when he goes out, it's with him. And we haven't heard of anybody else that he's socializing with. So I'm assuming he would have gone out with Frank, but. Other than just gaining access to this house, and there's no way he would have broken in here, because impact window's not going to do that, and the front door not working, so he would screw blue tattoo. I checked the car, you know, after the Northport police left to see if there was any marks on the door to see if he was had tried to pry the car open, but nope, I didn't see any marks on it. So I guess he was here for an hour and 15 minutes or so before he had to make tracks to get back to Orlando, but. Have no idea what he did for that amount of time. Maybe he came down here thinking he would throw the police off. If they obviously found a way to track him or something, maybe they said, "Well, he disposed of the body or disposed of something down here." But
Oh man.
have no idea. Other than just coming here and stealing something from us.
Oh man, that is the saddest. That is the saddest. I mean, I'm not sad for them. I'm sad about them. It's just sad that they have a relationship with their son where he's like, well, he might be disposing the body down here. He might be stealing stuff from us down here. I actually have a very close childhood friend when we were kids that his oldest brother was not allowed in the house. And of course, it was because of addiction problems, and he would steal stuff from his parents and so forth. But I remember one time when we were home and his older brother came to try to get in the house, and we had to physically fight him to keep him from getting into the house. And of course, like, we were calling his parents were on the way home. It was crazy, but like that, it is a sad situation when parents are like, I do not want him in my house alone. He might steal something from me. I do not, you know. And the whole idea that, man, maybe he's coming down here to throw police off. Maybe he's disposing of a body and he's trying to throw them off. That is a sad reality, my friends. That is just tragic. Wow.
You don't know if he has his own credit cards or anything like that, do you?
He has one, maybe 2 credit cards at best that are his, and nothing else.
Okay.
I don't think he may have. I gave him access to a second Chase account that I set up for him, but it hasn't been used for whatever time. So if he has that, it doesn't have any money in the account. So other than that, that's the only thing I would know he had. I gave him. He would have use of the gas card, but I made him fill it up and give me the card back, so he didn't have use of that.
What banks does he have? Chase and.
Well, he has second account that I set up, but he has his own account with Disney Partners.
Credit union or something.
Oh, yeah. We don't have any access to that, so I don't know what he's got in there, what he does.
Have you looked to see if there was any phone activity on your account that you paid for anytime during that Monday, Tuesday area?
I didn't look at his account. To answer your question, no. But then a Wednesday, since he didn't have his phone, I had a spare phone that I use for business, which I think you guys have, iPhone Mini, and I said, here, use this until you get your phone back. Again, thinking everything's innocent and what have you. And so I gave that to him around 3 o'clock Wednesday afternoon and said, use this. And then we went downstairs and met with the detectives.
Talk about
and
an
then
enabler, man.
they were escorted away. And then the last time I saw the phone, other than him calling me to tell me that the detective said when they pull into the Orange County Operations Center, they're going to go straight back. And I go, oh, okay. And I'm to go to the left and park out in front of the main building. We're going there for the press conference. And then I get there, and then I'm expecting to meet up with Jen and Stefan to go up to the press conference. And then when trying to reach them, Stefan's phone is dead at this point. It's turned off. Finally, Jen responds to me, and they said they're making arrangements. Go inside. You'll get a pass. They'll take you upstairs to the press conference. So by the time I got up there, it was over, and now I'm just trying to. Where is everybody? But the only call that came in, because I wiped out everything that I could think of to wipe out. Because if he's going to have access to that phone, like I've got my contacts in there where I put all my passwords and username and passwords. I know that's stored in passwords, but I want quick access to it or something, whatever, relevant information. What are you going to do?
No,
Just
stay.
yeah,
Stay.
just tell me quiet.
That'd be all
So,
right for you.
and then anything else that would have been confidential that I didn't want to have access to, I deleted off of there. Because again, I only expected them to use it for a short time, because the police said in the lobby, "Hey, we're going to give your phone back, we're going to give your car back." Well, I knew what that was about. They're going to escort him without handcuffing and what have you. They wanted him to be comfortable, what have you. So I didn't expect to lose my iPhone as a result of that.
Which you should be able to get that iPhone back, but I'll double check and let you know.
Well, I was going to
The
ask you
second
that.
one, yeah.
Because I asked Alec about it. He said, well, it's being transferred to Kissimmee. And I said, well, this is going to be a slow process. So anyway.
No, we should be able to get you the iPhone back.
Yeah.
He's familiar with how this goes, right? Oh, man.
The other phone, no.
Oh, no, I would expect that, no.
What about the car?
The card, no.
Yeah, we already know that. Yeah, I've already kissed that goodbye.
Okay.
Yeah. He knows.
Okay.
We use that as a poodle ambulance,
Yes.
Right. Okay.
the silver car, because the dogs go to the vet, or if they have some surgeries, or the puppies, or what have you. The back seat, could be smeared with puke, blood, and what else? But we call it the poodle ambulance.
Okay, just so you guys know, they're talking about the car that Stefan Stearns was driving, right? So this is a silver Lincoln MKZ. If we're back on my website here, I'm going to scroll down real fast. This is the search of that car. So having some experience with police, Chris Stearns is like, yeah, we're never getting back that car, because he knows, I think Chris Stearns knows, this is the crime scene, right? This is an extension of the crime scene, and therefore we will never see this car ever again. And so I mean, I just find that very interesting that he knows what's up, and he knows his son is guilty, and I think Deb knows her son is guilty. She just is less willing to admit that it was only him, preferring instead to think that it was both Stefan and Jen, which I think it may have been. She may not be wrong if that's what she thinks.
Did, when you gave Steven this car to go to Kissimmee, clean inside?
No. It's the poodle ambulance. You know, we're not going to have that car detailed, you know, and then if he's using it, and of course, Debbie had a bunch of her stuff in it, but no, that car was not clean.
Okay.
And I said, well, if forensics is going to go over that, I mean, you know, I tried to tell somebody, I said, you know, it's a poodle ambulance. There's going to be some leftover puke and blood or what have you that we weren't able to get out of the seats because they're perforated. So I hope somebody doesn't get too excited when they hit on something, but it's animal blood as far as I knew.
Okay. Have you talked to Steven since he's been arrested?
No, we tried to set up a video visitation yesterday. It said we were confirmed. My iPad, my iPhone crashed a couple of times when I'm trying to get on, and then
We had
finally
solar
got it.
flares yesterday.
What?
They said we had 3 solar flares yesterday. Facebook went offline, and a lot of Verizon went off, and some other. And I thought, well, maybe that's what kicked us off yesterday.
But when I finally got on it, he wasn't there. So you know, I kind of expected that could have happened because again, you know, they gave me a warning. They said, you know, if he's not available, he's not going to be available and won't be there. But
Yeah, I understand that Chris Stearns was a cop. I don't know how long he was a cop, though. I probably could look that up pretty easily. I probably should have by now, but it's my understanding that it wasn't too long. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but he at least was long enough to understand what the process is and all this, right? Yeah, good comment. Thanks, Dr. Quinn Harley.
I figured since I had confirmation, but I haven't had any conversation whatsoever.
Have you talked with Jen since he's been arrested?
Last conversation, a text I had from her was when I asked her if she had gotten access back into the townhome, because if there was anything that Stefan had there, like supposedly he had his gun there, I wanted to get it out of there and away from harm and bring it back here where somebody else couldn't do anything with it. And I was making arrangements to do that, and she said yes, and then I didn't hear back from her after that, so she's gone dark on us.
Okay.
Has she lawyered up?
No.
No. Well,
Should.
she's avoided me for whatever reason, because up until that point,
Well, we have her phone,
oh, you have her phone. Oh, okay.
so that may be one of the reasons that she's.
Well, if I'm sending you love notes, I'll be teasing. If I'm sending you messages, now I know it's why it's not going to answer. Because the last thing I got from her was, yes, she did, and then I sent her another message afterwards trying to get some more information, and again, try to make arrangements to get the gun out of there. Do you guys have the gun, or is it
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, so
At
that
least it's in
is-
safe hands. What?
I'm sorry.
I said we'll never see that again either.
No, yeah, you definitely will.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm just concerned that it's in safe hands. That's the
guys.
thing I was concerned about.
Now I know. I mean, that was actually that was a little nugget of information. We already know, of course, that Maddie was strangled to death. Right? She lost her life, probably by manual strangulation, but it could have been some other method of strangulation. And so we knew that the gun wasn't a part of it, but that him saying that they're going to get the gun back means that there's no evidentiary value in that gun. So it wasn't used to threaten her, or police wouldn't believe that it was used to threaten her or hold her captive or any of those things. So to me, that is an indication that like this crime that occurred, of course, there were many crimes occurring, right? I'm talking about the murder. There were many horrible and just awful, and I can't even imagine them kinds of crimes that were happening to Maddie. But the murder of Maddie likely happened very quickly. If that gun was not used to hold her, threaten her, or something like that.
Didn't want, because they have roommates there. I don't know who these people are, and somebody could take that, and I didn't want that to happen.
Have they ever talked about their roommates at all?
No.
No, we don't know
even
who
know
they
if
are.
there's sex. We don't even know if it's guys or girls.
Yeah.
Now, did Jen ever talk to you about Sunday night after the party?
Regarding what?
Regarding the fact that there was probably drinking with the adults at the party, that she and Stefan would definitely have been vaping, that her meds were not working, and Sunday night when she went to bed with Maddie and Stefan was in Maddie's room to sleep, that she woke up with a headache, and she told Maddie, and she told us, she told Maddie to go go sleep with Stefan in her room. And
In her room or his room?
And when
His room.
Okay.
he was sleeping in Maddie's room, and she sent him. She specifically said, because she told her, she says, I told her to go sleep with Stefan. And I was like the antenna popped up, and I said, what a stupid thing to do. Why would you do that? You've got plenty of room on your bed. Why would you send Maddie in there to go on a single bed with Stefan? It didn't make sense to me.
Do you know if they've ever talked about
That is a good stopping point. We've got about 40 minutes left in this that we will get back to tomorrow. But that is an excellent point. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. She sat there and said, now I'm going to come on to, like, I'm playing both sides of the fence here, guys. I know that. But Deb is doing her best to implicate Jen in all of this. And I think that rightfully so, right? I mean, I think it's an indication that she's overprotective of her son, but I also think she's probably not wrong. So she's trying to implicate Jen in this whole idea that Jen would offer up her daughter to Stefan's desires. That's what I think she's saying right there. And we will come back to the end of that conversation in our live stream tomorrow at 7 p.m. So if you like this kind of content and you haven't subscribed or ring the notification bell, now would be a good time to do that. There are a couple of questions that I've favorited here real quick. The first, I want to thank PJ Tyler for that super chat. Thank you very much, PJ Tyler. You've been so generous over the last, for a long time. I deeply appreciate that. Thank you very much. Other favorites, or other things that I starred. Sherry said, Gavin, did Jen get immunity? I thought I read that. So Jen has some kind of immunity. I don't know what the arrangement is. And we will be listening to that interview of Jen on Thursday and Friday this week. So we will learn a little bit more about that, and I will do a little more research. I have more public records requests in, like they're just standing requests to Osceola County, to Kissimmee Police, and to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. So there might be more stuff coming out, and I will share that stuff when I get it. Shiny Star, it's the same kind of question. Can Jen possibly be charged, or is she protected completely? The real answer to that question, the full and complete answer to that question is I don't know. But if I go into Speculationville here a little bit, I don't know a single prosecutor that gives full absolute immunity to anyone. There are always caveats, always. So I doubt she's completely protected. April Del Rosario. April asks, why was it bad advice from Dad to give up his phone? So, in my opinion, now the caveat here is that I'm glad that Stefan Stearns did this, and I'm glad that people are dumb enough to do it. But so that's my caveat. But in my opinion, you should never, ever, 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 ever willingly talk to the police or cooperate in their investigation. You should always, always avail yourselves of the rights that we are guaranteed from the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the United States. We should always do that. That's why I say it was bad advice. No. I want guilty people to be caught. So stupid criminals, I'm glad that they do it. But for those of us innocent people who are watching my channel, let us never do that. That's my position. Let's see. Shih Tzu Mama 24. Gavin, were the 35,000 images on his phone of Madeline only? My understanding is no. My understanding is that the Maddie photos equaled about 1,700 photos, and that the other photos were, and I think there were videos too, were other pieces of CSAM. That's what they were. Other victims, probably thousands of other victims. It's sad and gross. Princess Mariposa asks, is Stefan an only child? I had this question on Friday myself. Turns out that Stefan is the youngest of 2 brothers from 2 different marriages, same mom, is what I understand it. I don't think that he's close to his oldest brother. I think they're separated by several years, 7 or 8 years, but there are 2. Galinda says, Gavin, you know she is demanding a lawyer for him. What that tells you, everything right there. Now, to me, like, I respectfully disagree, Galinda. I think we should all avail ourselves of the rights that we're guaranteed by the Constitution. I think we should all lawyer up anytime the police want to talk to us. So I don't begrudge a person for lawyering up at all, especially if you're innocent. Especially if you're innocent. If the police want to talk to you about something you know, saw, heard, you should only do that when you have a lawyer present. And thank goodness that so many stupid criminals do not follow that advice. Risa Ree, has the toxicology report been done or released? I am positive that the toxicology report is finished by now. We're talking, what are we talking? We're talking 7 months. Yeah, it's probably done by now. But I doubt that they're going to release the actual toxicology report. They may, we have learned through experience, release reports that refer to the toxicology report and tell us what's in it. But so far, I haven't seen anything like that. Thank you for the question. Angelica, what do you think of Jennifer Soto? I think Jennifer Soto is a broken, sick person who offered up her child for the sexual gratification of Stefan Stearns. That's what I think. Let's see. Mia Spaghetti, thank you very much. Says, Mr. GF, great channel, and encourages everybody to like and subscribe. Everybody, just call me Gavin. Don't need to call me sir. Don't need to call me Mr. Just call me Gavin. That's what I prefer. All right, guys. So we will be back tomorrow with part 3 in this little series. Remember that you can always go over to my website. There's a link below where you can read and view and see everything that I have on Maddie's case. All of the documents and the audio files have my patrons on Patreon have free access to those. That's why, for those of you who don't support me on Patreon, which I'm very grateful for the support that I get by watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, I love that. So thank you for that. I'm not minimizing that. But those who decide to support me financially through Patreon have full and unfettered access to everything. And then everybody else, we just go over the documents on YouTube so that they are not secret to you. Please do that. If you ever need to contact me, there's a contact form here. I appreciate everybody who reaches out. Remember, there is a person in my audience, and you know who you are if you are that person, who helped me deeply in the Ellen Greenberg case, who remains anonymous to me. If you are that person, I would love to talk to you off the record. Please reach out to me with your contact information, and I would love to talk to you. You don't have to, but I invite you to do it. And anybody else, if you want to reach out to me anonymously or otherwise, you can do so here. If you want to subscribe to Crime Cod, my almost daily true crime newsletter, this is where you do that, and you can see some of the recent newsletters so you can kind of see what they are. And I just invite you to subscribe. And if you like it, great. If you don't like it, it's easy to unsubscribe. I don't sell the list or anything like that, and then it's very easy to unsubscribe. And then lastly, just a reminder that over on the Fish Tank, we spend a lot of time together talking about Maddie's case and others. So if you're on Facebook and that's your thing, I invite you to head on over there and join the Fish Tank. We're having a good time over there. With that, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope to see you tomorrow. Until then, I bid you adieu, and have a good one. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.